The day had started like any other for Malik and Jamal. The brothers had risen before sunrise, the humid Georgia air already clinging to their skin, and packed their worn fishing rods and a jar of worms. Their mother had been up too, humming gospel songs as she folded laundry by the kitchen window. "Stay close to the creek," she'd warned, not looking up. "And be home before dark. Storm's coming." They had nodded in unison, though Malik, the older by 2 years, had rolled his eyes the moment her back was turned. "She says that every time the clouds sneeze," he muttered, earning a grin from Jamal. The two set off down the dirt path behind their small wooden house, the cicadas already singing in the trees. By midday, they'd settled by the creek, a quiet bend shaded by cypress trees, their roots curling into the brown water. Jamal had caught 2 small fish, Malik none, and the air was thick with the lazy peace of summer. Then the first distant rumble cut through the stillness, not thunder, not quite. Malik glanced up. "You hear that?" Jamal frowned. "Sounded like something big." Another noise followed, a deep metallic screech, then a thunderous crash that made birds explode from the treetops. Both boys jumped to their feet. The forest had gone eerily quiet after the sound, except for the faint crackle of breaking branches. "That came from the ridge," Malik said, already moving. "Wait, Malik, what if it's hunters?" "Hunters don't sound like that," he shot back, pushing through the ferns. "Come on." They ran, ducking low branches, their sneakers slipping in the wet soil. The smell hit them first, gasoline and smoke, sharp and out of place among the pine and moss. Then, through a break in the trees, they saw it, a silver Land Rover on its side, wedged between 2 oaks. One tire still spun uselessly, and orange flames were licking up from the hood. "Holy!" Jamal started, but Malik cut him off. "Someone's in there." They scrambled closer. Through the cracked windshield, Malik saw a man, middle-aged, bleeding from the forehead, his body twisted awkwardly. He was still breathing, but barely. "Help me get him out," Malik shouted. "The car's on fire, man. What if it explodes?" Jamal's voice trembled, but he didn't step back. Malik didn't answer. He grabbed a fallen branch and smashed it against the window until it shattered. Smoke poured out, choking him, but he pushed through. The man's seatbelt was jammed, his expensive watch glinting in the flickering light. Malik pulled at the buckle, cursing under his breath, until Jamal climbed in through the passenger side. "Hold on. Try cutting it." Jamal grabbed the small pocketknife he always carried and sawed at the strap. The belt gave way just as the fire roared higher, heat blasting their faces. Together, they dragged the man through the broken glass, his shoes scraping against the metal. "Get his arm. Watch his head." Malik coughed, smoke filling his lungs. They stumbled away from the wreck, the man heavy and limp between them. Behind them, the fire crackled louder, something hissed, then popped. By the time they reached the creek, Malik's arms were trembling from exhaustion. They laid the man on the damp ground. His suit, or what was left of it, was singed, his shirt stained with soot and blood. Jamal knelt beside him. "He's breathing. Kinda shallow, but still." Malik looked back toward the ridge, black smoke curling into the sky. "We can't stay here," he said, voice low. "If that fire spreads, it'll reach the creek in an hour." "So what do we do?" Malik thought fast. They were miles from the nearest road, no cell service this deep in the woods. "We carry him," he said finally. "To the highway. It's gotta be 2, maybe 3 miles north." Jamal stared at him, like he was crazy, but after a moment, he nodded. "Okay, let's do it." They each took an arm, lifting the man between them. He groaned weakly but didn't wake. The heat from the spreading fire pressed at their backs as they stumbled through the forest, tripping over roots, panting hard. Every few minutes, Malik glanced over his shoulder, the orange glow was getting brighter. By the time they reached the edge of the trees, both boys were drenched in sweat, their shirts sticking to their skin. They laid the man down by the roadside just as a distant siren echoed somewhere beyond the hills. Malik dropped to his knees, gasping for air. Jamal sat beside him, eyes wide. "Think he's gonna make it?" he asked quietly. Malik looked at the man, at the fine watch still ticking on his wrist, the faint rise and fall of his chest. "Yeah," Malik said finally. "I think he will." Neither of them noticed the small gold cufflink that had fallen from the man's pocket, gleaming faintly in the dirt, engraved with the initials C.M. The man woke up on the third morning, though at first it was hard to tell if he was fully conscious or still trapped between worlds. His eyes fluttered open, unfocused, moving from the ceiling to the cracked wooden walls to the old oscillating fan that squeaked with each turn. Malik was the first to notice. He'd been sitting by the window, whittling at a stick to calm his nerves. When he saw the man stir, he jumped up so fast the chair toppled over. "Jamal, he's awake." The younger boy burst into the room, breathless, his expression flickering between curiosity and fear. The man's lips moved, dry and cracked. Where am I?" "You're safe," Malik said quickly, unsure what else to tell him. "You crashed. In the woods. We pulled you out." The man's gaze darted around the small room, faded curtains, peeling paint, the faint smell of cornmeal and soap. He blinked as if trying to piece together a dream. "How long?" he rasped. 3 days, Jamal said. "You been out cold. Mama's been taking care of you." As if summoned, their mother appeared in the doorway. She was a tall woman with tired eyes, her apron dusted with flour. "You shouldn't be moving yet," she said gently, stepping closer. "You lost a lot of blood, but you're lucky those boys found you." She offered him a cup of water, and he drank greedily, his hands trembling. When he finally spoke again, his voice was steadier. "I owe you my life." Malik shrugged awkwardly. Anybody would have done the same. The man studied them for a moment, something unreadable in his expression. "Not everybody," he said softly. That afternoon, the air outside grew heavy with the promise of rain. Jamal sat on the porch, watching the sky darken while Malik helped their mother prepare dinner. Inside, the man, who still hadn't said his name, tried to stand but winced, pressing a hand to his side. "Lie back," Malik told him. "You're still hurt." "I should get to a hospital," the man muttered. "You're miles from one," their mother said, setting down a bowl of soup beside the bed. "Eat first. You can leave when you're strong enough." He nodded, though his pride seemed to battle his gratitude. Between spoonfuls, he glanced around the house, the patched floorboards, the sagging couch, the small photo on the wall of a man in army uniform. "Your father?" he asked quietly. Malik hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, he passed when Jamal was little." The man said nothing for a long time. Finally, he whispered, "You've got brave sons." Later that evening, the power flickered out, and they lit a kerosene lamp. The glow painted the room in soft amber light. Jamal asked questions the way he always did, about the man's car, where he'd been going, whether he'd seen the fire catch the trees behind him. The man answered in fragments, still piecing the story together himself. "I was headed north, to the airport, I think. Everything happened so fast. The road curved, and then," he stopped, shaking his head. "Guess God wasn't ready for you yet," their mother said from the corner, folding laundry. The man gave a faint smile. "Guess not." When the rain started, it came hard, pounding against the tin roof. For a while, the four of them sat in silence, listening to the storm. Malik watched the man out of the corner of his eye. His fine watch still gleamed faintly even in the dim light, his shoes polished though scuffed from the crash. He looked out of place, like someone pulled out of a magazine and dropped into their world by mistake. The next morning, the man was stronger. He insisted on walking outside, leaning heavily on the porch rail. He looked out at the dirt road that led into the woods and whispered something under his breath. Then he turned to Malik and Jamal. "You two risked your lives for me," he said. "That was foolish. Brave, but foolish." Jamal grinned. "Malik's idea." Malik elbowed him. "We couldn't just leave you." The man nodded slowly, his eyes thoughtful. "What are your names?" They told him. He repeated them as if memorizing something important. "Malik, Jamal." Then he added, "You saved the wrong man, maybe. But I'll make sure that means something." Before leaving, he borrowed their neighbor's old pickup truck. He shook their mother's hand, pressing something into her palm, a business card. "If you ever need anything," he said. She glanced at it and frowned. "You didn't tell us your name." He smiled faintly, stepping into the truck. "Maybe it's better that way. For now." The engine sputtered to life, and as the truck rolled down the muddy road, Malik caught a glimpse of the card still in his mother's hand. The embossed letters gleamed faintly even through the smudges of dirt. Carter Mason, Mason Technologies. The name meant nothing to them then, just another stranger's name from another world. But the way he'd looked back one last time before turning the corner stayed with Malik, a kind of silent promise that wouldn't make sense until much later. It was just after noon when the hum of tires broke the quiet on that narrow country road. Malik was out back chopping wood while Jamal tinkered with his old radio on the porch. Their mother was inside hanging clothes to dry when the sound grew louder, deep, powerful, and unfamiliar. Malik looked up, wiping sweat from his forehead, just in time to see a black SUV crest the hill and roll slowly toward the house. He frowned. No one they knew drove anything like that. The SUV was sleek, shining under the sun, with tinted windows that hid whoever was inside. For a moment, he thought it might be the sheriff, maybe some leftover business about the crash. But when the vehicle came to a stop at the edge of their dirt driveway and two men in dark suits stepped out, his stomach tightened. Malik, Jamal said, eyes wide as he set the radio aside. You seein' this? The men surveyed the property briefly, then opened the back door. The person who climbed out made both boys freeze. It was him, the man from the wreck. Except now he looked completely different. The scrapes on his face were gone, his hair neatly cut, his clothes crisp and new. He didn't look like a survivor anymore, he looked like someone who owned half the county. Their mother stepped out onto the porch, shielding her eyes from the sun. Can I help you? She asked cautiously. The man smiled. That same calm, collected expression they remembered from his brief time with them, though now it carried an unmistakable weight of authority. I hope so, he said, his voice steady. I've been trying to find you all week. Jamal leaned toward Malik and whispered, he found us like we're famous or something. Malik shushed him but couldn't hide his own curiosity. The man approached the porch, stopping a few feet away. Mrs. Brown, he said respectfully, I don't know how to thank you for what you and your sons did. You didn't just save my life, you gave me time I'll never waste again. Their mother gave a small, awkward nod. We did what anyone would have done. Maybe, he said softly. But not everyone would have risked walking back into a burning forest. He motioned to one of the men in suits, who returned to the SUV and came back with two thick envelopes. The man handed one to each boy. Malik hesitated, feeling the weight of the paper, unsure what to do. What's this? Something you've earned, the man replied. Open it. They exchanged uncertain glances, then tore the envelopes open. Inside were official-looking letters, embossed with a university seal, and beneath each letter, a printed document that read Full Scholarship Award. Malik's heart seemed to stop. This has to be a mistake, he stammered. We didn't even apply anywhere. The man smiled. You didn't need to. I made a few calls. You both start next fall. Engineering for you, Malik, and computer science for Jamal, if that's still what you want. Jamal blinked, speechless. Their mother pressed a hand to her chest, tears welling in her eyes. Sir, we can't accept this. It's too much. It's not enough, he said simply. I built my company from nothing, but when I crashed that car, I realized how quickly it can all disappear. Money means nothing if I don't use it right. He looked at the brothers with quiet sincerity. You gave me a second chance. I want to give you one too. For a long moment, no one spoke. The wind rustled through the trees, and a hawk cried somewhere high above. Then Malik stepped forward, holding out his hand. Thank you, he said, his voice unsteady but strong. We didn't save you for this, but, thank you. The man shook his hand firmly, then Jamal's. You saved me because it was right, he said. That's exactly the kind of people the world needs to invest in. One of the suited men cleared his throat. Mr. Mason, we should get going. Mr. Mason, Carter Mason. Malik remembered the name on the card, nodded and turned back toward the SUV. Before climbing in, he looked at their small wooden house one more time, then back at them. You'll hear from my assistant next week, he said. We'll handle the paperwork, and when you're ready, come visit the city. I think you'll like what's waiting there. The SUV's doors shut with a quiet click, and the vehicle rolled down the road until it disappeared around the bend, leaving a trail of dust behind. For a long while, none of them moved. Jamal held his letter like it might vanish if he blinked too fast. Their mother finally sat down on the porch steps, laughing through tears. "Lord have mercy," she whispered. "You boys just went and changed our whole lives." Malik looked down the road, the sound of the SUV fading into the distance. "Guess that fire wasn't just meant to take something," he said softly. "It was meant to bring something back." Jamal grinned. "Yeah, maybe it brought us a future." The sun broke through the clouds then, lighting up the dirt road in the front yard where the grass grew wild. The house still looked the same, small, worn, ordinary, but everything around it felt different now, as if the air itself had shifted. Malik folded the letter carefully and tucked it into his pocket. Somewhere far away, the world was opening up, waiting for them.